Welcome to Sports Hub Tottenham. Hotspur's dreams of reaching the Carabao Cup final were shattered as they suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of Liverpool. Here's how the Spurs players rated Hugo Lloris, 5'10". The Spurs captain had a decent game, making a few crucial saves to keep the scoreline respectable. However, he was ultimately powerless to prevent the Liverpool onslaught. Davinson Sanchez, 4'10". Sanchez, had a torrid time at the back, struggling to cope with the pace and movement of the Liverpool attackers. He was caught out of position on several occasions and failed to make any meaningful contributions. Eric Dier, 4'10". Dier's performance was a major disappointment, as he failed to provide any real leadership or organisation at the back. He was slow to react to Liverpool's attacks and was often caught out by their clever movement. Ben Davies, 4'10". Davies had a nightmare game at left-back, struggling to cope with the pace and skill of Liverpool's wingers. He was beaten far too easily on several occasions and failed to provide any real width or support to the Spurs attack. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, 5'10". Højbjerg, worked hard in midfield, but ultimately struggled to make any real impact on the game. He was often overpowered by the Liverpool midfielders and failed to create any meaningful chances for his teammates. Rodrigo Bentancur, 5'10". Bentancur, showed some nice touches in midfield, but ultimately failed to make any real difference to the game. He was often slow to react to Liverpool's attacks and failed to provide any real creativity or spark to the Spurs' midfield. Dejan Kulusevski, 6'10". Kulusevski was one of the few Spurs players to emerge with any real credit, showing some nice touches and moments of skill on the wing. However, he ultimately failed to make any real impact on the game and was often isolated and frustrated by the Liverpool defence. Harry Kane, 6'10". Kane, worked hard up front, but ultimately failed to make any real impact on the game. He was often isolated and frustrated by the Liverpool defence and failed to create any meaningful chances for his teammates. Richarlison, 5'10". Richarlison had a disappointing game on the wing, failing to make any real impact on the game. He was often slow to react to Liverpool's attacks and failed to provide any real width or support to the Spurs attack. Ivan Perisic, 4'10". Perisic, had a torrid time on the wing, struggling to cope with the pace and skill of the Liverpool defenders. He was often beaten far too easily and failed to provide any real width or support to the Spurs attack. Manager Ange Postecoglou, 4'10". Postecoglou's tactics and team selection were widely questioned after the game, as Spurs failed to cope with the pace and movement of the Liverpool attackers. He will need to regroup and recharge his team ahead of their next match.